Hello, I'm Shelley Rothus, and I'm a different kind of victim. Today, I'm going to be going over the topic that I had just discussed in part one and part two, which was lies out of omission, and if they say it, they mean it. In the part one and part two, I had used the example of the recent incident that has happened, which dealt with another person. But it also opened my eyes. I'm used to being the one that it happens to, and not being the one that's in that position where I would be the one telling that person what was happening to them that was wrong. So it actually was a learning experience to me as well, as to being the bigger person, as I had stated, as being able to have personal integrity. You need to be what? The bigger person in many circumstances, such as that, even if it's hard. That's right, it's easier to be an asshole. So, lies out of omission. Why is lies such a huge topic of mine? Because lies is exactly how abusers maintain and keep their power and control over their victim. Absolutely true. I remember even writing to Ken, as I stated, he's the first person I trusted and opened up to in more detail about the abuse that I had endured in a more personal way and more detailed. I remember actually telling him in one of those letters, the long, very long letters, was that it was lies that destroyed my life. So just like the gossiping, bullying cult clans that demean the victim, spread lies, and all that, they enable, encourage, and engage in abuse. And that's what lets the abusers continue to maintain power and control over the victim. Just like in the incident that I discussed that happened with the other person, based upon the man that was talking down about them based upon how they look and why they wouldn't date them. That's not any different than what happened to me with Ken in the bullying cult pants. So, lies out of omission. I didn't quite get it myself, and many people use excuses and exceptions, as I've stated. In the bullying cult clans, those people would be extremely angry when somebody had let the victim that was being degraded or deceived, betrayed in that hate group, if they were told by somebody that was in that hate group, that person would be scorned. That's right, being the bigger person and having the personal integrity. Lies out of omission. When that person is pretending to be your friend, yet is watching you get harmed and not letting you know and informing you. It took a while to understand that, because most people will think, well, they're my friends. I can't say anything. I got to keep it a secret. It's in the group that I'm friends with those people. Yeah, I go like that, friends, because they're really great friends. I mean, they're obviously very trustworthy, respectable people that would sit there and talk about somebody else that doesn't deserve it in cruel and despicable ways, right? Exactly. That's where I had brought up that the lies out of omission goes along with surrounding yourself with negative people, and how that goes along with what I've been talking about with having personal integrity. It's not about keeping it a secret for those so-called friends, but also having personal integrity to do what is right and informing that person that's could be potentially harmed or is already being harmed, and standing by them and doing what is right, no matter who is involved. That's the huge key to that, and the hardest part that most people will deny and say, oh, well, it was a secret. They don't have personal integrity. It shouldn't matter who is involved It's about doing what is right. So let's get to with the incident that happened to me recently with Rumster. How did lies get involved with that? And how did that also relate to the recent trauma with the recent bullying incident? Well, after the recent bullying incident, I had stated that the way I was traumatized was that I had extreme trust issues. I honestly didn't want any relationships, not even friendships. And I also had issues with, social anxiety and being around people and even touch. So when I had met Grumster, it was, like I stated, it was very odd. It was a connection right away. I don't know how to explain it. And yes, I'll be honest, I wanted to just walk away and not even talk to him again, out of my fear based upon what had happened to me just before that, which was with Ken, and how he had degraded me in the most cruel and despicable way anybody ever has. That traumatized me the most. So I was extremely fearful of any type of relationship. But I decided to give it a chance. I even talked to some other friends, and they're like, well, give it a chance, and I'm like, okay. Believe me, if I could turn back time, I would, and I would go back and do exactly what I first thought I wanted to do, which was turn back away and just pretend I never met them and just blow it off. But I did end up giving it a shot. It was extremely hard, very hard. It was the hardest relationship I ever had, and I had put the most effort into out of any relationship I've ever been in because of what happened to me. So it was extremely hard for me to open up being with that person. So what was it that gave me the incentive to actually give that person a chance? What was it about Grumster that made me feel there was a chance that he would be different and I wouldn't get hurt again like I did with Ken? It was because I actually thought, based upon what he's told me about himself and how he feels about things that happened to me, even with Ken, and what's happened to him personally based upon gossip crews and all that stuff and people interfering with relationships, I honestly believe that he wouldn't do that to somebody else based upon how he felt about people who did stuff like that. Even though he didn't do it the same way as Ken did, where he was in a bullying cult clan, gossiping about me, spreading rumors, blah, 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 he still let somebody else interfere with our relationship. And I'm pretty positive that that person, Asuka, had said things to him that he held back and didn't even talk to me about, which leads to communication as to why it's important. What was one way that he did lie the same way that Ken did? That would have been when I had given him his gift back after Asuka returned it to me. And just like Ken, I had actually shown him proof of Asuka doing that, and also shown the proof of him getting that gift back that was on top of his car when I returned it. So Ken, that was the same thing that Ken did when I had approached Ken about being in a hate group and talking about me. I had actually shown him the screenshots that John Paul had given to me and showed him that. And he still played dumb, just like Grumster. He said, well, I've been busy, I haven't been on that much. Right? Yeah, he had plenty of time to be in that group and talk about me in demeaning and degrading ways and go along with it. Now, Grumster, when I approached him about my gift being given back to me and how Jessica was stalking me and all that stuff and getting involved, he played dumb. Same with the gift. He was like, well, it may be in my car, or, it was like, playing dumb. Even after I showed him the evidence. Just like Ken, I had showed him the evidence. Both of them played dumb, as though they didn't know what was going on and had no idea. That's called being a coward and not owning up to what you had done wrong and taking personal responsibility. So, as I've shown in the past videos as to what happened, it ended up being the total opposite, because he had let somebody interfere and engaged in that abuse against me, which was my biggest fear of any relationship, is that somebody would do that again, like what Ken did to me. And it ended up happening again. And that was like I said, it was my biggest fear, to even have a relationship, with fear of that happening again. And it ended up happening, which was extremely hurtful, because like with Ken, who was the first person I trusted as a friend, and with Grumster, he's the first person that I ended up falling in love with. So it was two bad incidents that happened very close together. And that's where the conditioned normalized victimization syndrome comes into play, is that I do blame myself, because I do regret that I did give Grumster a chance to even be a friend with him. And I do wish I could turn back time and take it all back, but I know I can't. I know it's not my fault. I know I'm not to blame for it happening. I shouldn't shame myself for giving that person a chance, because it's not my fault that they chose to do those things to me. And that goes where people saying I should have been careful with who I choose to be friends with or be in a relationship with. Nobody's a book. People can change even after knowing them for years and do something very harmful and cruel and despicable to you. It would be nice if people were open books and you can see what the future holds with them. That way you can decide right then and there of whether to be their friend or not, but that's not possible. I'm at the point where I am still very afraid of any relationship, and believe me, I have a lot of work to do within that, as to where I will feel comfortable again with a relationship. Like I stated, I'm not the same person I was way back when. Well, not even that long ago. I would say last year. It wasn't until last year where I changed, the end of last year, and even more so. Before, I used to be a little sweetie heart, and extremely friendly and very kind and open to any relationship, very giving. Let's just say I look back at how sweet I was and I barf. So when people say, God, you're so sweet, I'm like, well, you didn't know the old me, and you would not be saying that, and that's the truth. They say that I'm honest. That's very true. I'm even more honest now, because I tell people exactly what I think of them and how I feel about them, and I don't hold it back. So I'm not just going to go around and talk crap about them to others. I'm going to tell them to their face exactly what I think of them, even if it hurts. The truth hurts, but I stand by the truth strongly, because I honestly believe that lies hurt more than the truth. And I'd rather be told the truth. Just like me and my friend had stated, is that we'd rather somebody tell us that they don't want to be friends with us anymore, or they hate us, than to ghost us and just act like we didn't exist without even just telling us. You might as well we'd rather be told. It'd be less painful. You don't want to be my friend anymore? Just say it. Period. Don't be a self-centered prick and ghost that person and ignore them. So the same goes with lies. I'd rather be told the truth than lied to. And unfortunately, with Grumster and choosing that relationship, it was the opposite of what I had expected, because I had expected a person that was considerate of other people and also was against the same things that I am, which is allowing others to harm relationships that are important to me and getting involved in abusive behaviors against that person that I had promised to be by and stand by. But unfortunately, that didn't turn out that way. That's why it was so painful. It's because of the trauma and me actually believing that the new person, Grumster, had the same beliefs and morals as I did based upon that. But that turned out to be very untrue. But like I said, nobody's a book and you can't read it. lies out of omission. Keeping secrets, it's not about keeping secrets. It's about being respectful to others. If you have a friend, you know somebody's talking bad about them or something bad is happening to them, warn them and tell them what's going on. Don't hold it in you. That's lies out of omission. And then pretending to be their friend. I'd have to say that the most hurtful part was that Ken pretended to be my friend in the lies out of omission. I didn't even care about the other people that were talking down about me. It was the fact that Ken, who was my friend, didn't come to me and let me know. That was the most hurtful part. So, lies out of omission is a huge thing, especially within abuse. Because like I stated, is that abusers go after who that victim is the closest to in order to attack that victim to maintain power and control. Lies. I hate them. So that was my overview based upon the part 1 and part 2 of lies out of omission, and if they say it, they mean it. I hope to see you for the next one. I'm Shelley Rothus, and I'm a different kind of victim. See you next time.